Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about how to support in CS2. So first let's start with what is support. Support will be a role of a team in CS2 that is not necessarily like an interferer or a lurker, but if you have it dedicated it can help with a lot of things and can make it easier to build the team and to build the strats. So the support player's job will be mostly throwing utility and supporting your teammates in other ways. So your impact will not be coming from kills, and that's not the most important for you. Something that is very important for you is going to be your utility knowledge and your game knowledge. These two things are things that you have to have on a really high level as a support player if you want to be a good support player. And of course individual skill you have to have in every role. So you still have to have individual skill as a support, because sometimes you need to get some kills, and when you need to get those kills and you have the individual skill, that's what's going to differentiate you from the other supports, and you'll not only be a great support, you'll also be a great individual, and when you need to frag, you have the fragging abilities. So first let's talk about utility knowledge. You need to learn all of the utility on maps and understand how to use it. So all of the utility, I don't mean that you have to have learned every single smoke on a map. I mean that you need to know every useful smoke on a map, and that you need to know every smoke that you use on strats. So basically, let's say if on an A execute you're smoking city, you need to know the best city smoke, because everyone knows the city smoke from here. Yeah, fair enough, you can throw it like this, you can throw it like this, whatever, there is a city smoke from here, you can throw like this or something, but you have to know the best one, and that's where your utility knowledge comes in. You might know 10,000 city smokes, but you need to remember the best one and need to show the best one to your teammates, because you have to be the one that knows the most utility and which utility is the best. So I'm gonna give you an example. The best city smoke is this one. You come under this line and you aim there and you jump through. And I understand utility in a way where I can also explain why this is the best smoke. This is the best smoke because it lands on top of the box, and when it lands on top of the box, if the cities try to jump on top, they don't have a one-way. Where with other smokes, they will have a one-way, and they'll be able to see over. So you have to understand these things about utility. You need to get utility that doesn't leave gaps, and you need to learn the utility that is the best for a certain position. Because there is a city smoke that can be worse, and there is a city smoke that can be better, and it's the same for every position. You have to learn the best pieces of utility, and you have to learn them from the places that you need to throw them. So let's say if as a support player you play towards B, you need to know window smoke from B if you need to help your teammates, because at some point if you didn't throw the instant window smoke, then you have to maybe smoke window for your teammates because they have to smoke other things, or maybe you have to smoke top con from spawn, so you have to learn the top con from spawn if your IGL requires to do that, or you have to learn the window smoke from B if your IGL tells you that we can do the top con smoke from mid, but we need to smoke window for us in that case. So you have to learn according to the strats, but you have to know the utility before that anyway, because you don't want to waste time searching for a new utility and then failing the utility. You want to learn a lot of utility that will be useful, and then you will be ready to just implement it into the game without needing to learn it and practice it. So you could know some useless utility. Let's say you know a smoke that lands on top of this here, or where was it? On top of this here. Yeah, it's a cool smoke, it's an interesting smoke, it can help you in 1 or 2 rounds, sure, but like, it's not as useful as knowing how to smoke window from B up. So you have to know the useful utility. The useless utility doesn't really matter that much. You're never going to win a round off of that smoke. Another thing that is very important to know about support is that it's not going to be a very active role. You're not going to be getting a lot of fights, and you're going to be playing positions where you will not be fighting a lot and you will not be going for entering frags. I gave an example with B-ups on T side. You could be playing upslank on T side and you will not be getting a lot of fights unless you're executing. When you go into an execute, yeah, sure, you can get fights, but when you're just in your default position, you're not going to be getting fights most of the time. So you need to be patient and you need to not push out, because if you're a patient player, this might sound weird to you, but there are players which literally cannot stand in one place. If you put a guy who is very active, he always wants to fight. He cannot stand here and watch the single for 1 minute like you can. He needs to move, he needs to go out, he needs to search for a fight. It's a bit like if he has ADHD. He just wants to get something, he wants to go for a fight, he wants to get kills. A support player cannot be like that. A support player has to be patient and he has to be able to wait. Because sometimes, as a support player, you sit here and hold the slash for 20 seconds. And when the IGL calls it, then you throw it. No, I missed the flash because I aimed wrong, but the point is you need to hold the flash for 20 seconds. A player that is the entering firing type of player that always wants to move, always wants to search for juice, he cannot stand here and hold the flash for 20 seconds. So if you have a tendency to just be active all the time and you want to move around all the time, you cannot be a support player. Another thing about the support not being a very active role is that on city side you will most likely be playing anchoring positions, so something like B on Mirage would be a good example. You might need to stand here and hold this angle for an entire round and not get a single fight. You might need to just jump spot the whole round with smoke in your hand and not see anybody, and all of your teammates get the kills. And maybe let's say the enemies are out A, it's a 4v2 for you, and your teammates are just killing the enemies and you're just rotating and you're basically not shooting a single bullet the entire round. There will be these rounds as a support player, and you have to again have the patience to not be getting duels and to just kind of be minding your own business and not really think about getting kills, because your impact is different. On city side especially, you have a very different impact, and how I like to call it is reliability. So your reliability thing as a support player or an anchor player in general will be how reliable are you as an anchor. Let's say on Mirage you play 1B, 1 short, 1 window, 1 connector, 1A. Okay, so you're the B player as a support player, and you're going to anchor B obviously, and your short player is going to play around short, and he has two options: to fight for mid or to help you on B. If you're a reliable support player, meaning if he leaves you here alone, you either get a few kills or you stay alive and get one, and then it will be easier for the retake. And he can come in and he can get some kills as well. That's what your reliability thing is. If he leaves you alone, he knows he can trust you. And in this way, if you have good reliability, he can go and fight for mid together with other teammates and they can easily take mid. And your reliability allows for that, because if you weren't a reliable anchor, then he would have to stay closer to you, and he would have to be more ready to support you, and he would have to use his utility and his attention to help you on B, instead of fighting for mid and getting mid control. So your reliability skill indirectly impacts the ability of your team to take mid. So that's what people don't understand about support players, that they have impact that you have to understand. You cannot see it, you cannot have it on a stat sheet, you have to have it in your mind and you have to understand it in your mind. You have to understand the concepts and the game knowledge about CS. And that's basically another thing about the support player, the game knowledge. You have to have the game knowledge to know how to anchor. You have to know where to position, you have to know how to survive, you have to know how to waste time, how to use your utility, and all of that stuff that is going to help you be more reliable as an anchor. So remember this, reliability on city side as an anchor. Now I'm going to go into my last point for this video, which will be you need to understand what the point of a support is and what your job is in the team. I was talking about it until now, but now I'm going to just say straight up what your job is in every single situation. So you're not playing for frags, you're not playing for highlights, you're playing to win. You don't need to get 30 kills, you don't need to get 20 kills, you don't need to get 15 kills. You need to use your game knowledge and your utility knowledge to enable your team to win. Like I said about the reliability, you can be reliable and get 0 kills. And in this way, when you are reliable, at least your teammate trusts you that you hold the side and at least survive, so he can take mid calmly. And in that way, you helped your teammates win the round, because you allowed your short player to go on short and not have to worry about B, so he can be focused on taking mid. And that indirectly helps your mid take and helps you win the rounds and win the city side, of course. So that's a way of playing to win and not playing for highlights or playing for frags, because if you wanted to play for frags, you would push ups and die, and then your short player cannot take mid. Another thing that for some people just gives it away that they're not supposed to be a support player is that you'll not be the one that's getting noticed in the team. So if somebody watches your demo, the team demo, whatever you're called, let's say you're called Team Phoenix, whatever. Somebody watches Team Phoenix, he's not going to look at the B player jump spotting for 2 minutes straight. He's going to look at the mid players, how they take mid, what utility they use, how they shoot, if they're good, if they have good movement, if they have good aim. He's going to look at all of these things. He's not going to look at you. So you have to also keep that in mind. People are not going to pay the most attention to you, but the people that actually understand the game, the people that truly understand the game, they'll notice the support player and they'll understand what the support player is doing, and they'll be actually interested to see what he is doing and how he is enabling his team to win. Because if there's a winning team and there's a support player on that team, most likely the support player is doing his job correctly. Because if the support player is not doing his job correctly, then the star players cannot do their job correctly as well. Because again, the reliability. If you're not reliable, then your star player cannot take mid, he has to help you on B. And if you don't know utility to support your star players, they have to pick out without flashes and get a 50-50 duo. And if you're a good support player, you flash for them and they'll kill a blind opponent, which is a huge thing. Another thing that might be happening is you having to drop guns to the star players. So let's say you have an AK and you have $1,050. And your star player doesn't have money to buy an AK. He buys armor, he buys utility. What you do is you just drop your AK and you buy a Mark 10 so that your star player can get the kills, because he is in a position where the AK will be more useful, he will be getting more fights, and he can get around deciding kills. And for you, your weapon is not the most important thing. Your most important thing is what is inside of your brain and the utility that you have. Because inside of your brain is your game knowledge, and inside of your brain is the utility lineups and how to use utility. And if you have the utility in game, then it's easy. If you have the brain component, then your utility will be thrown correctly. So you need to drop guns to your teammates that are going to be getting more fights than you, and then enable them to get interferes with the gun that you drop them by using your utility. So that's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed the video, if you learned something new, if you improve as a support player after watching this, you can leave a like and you can subscribe to my channel to not miss out on any upcoming content. Thank you for watching.